Welcome back to Seattle Organic SEO's YouTube channel. Today we're going to focus in on Quora. So Quora is a website out there that answers a lot of questions that people pose to the website and has become a pretty good FAQ in terms of more legitimate answers, I would say. There used to be a lot of these type of questions addressed in Yahoo. I can't even remember what it's called since it's been years, but maybe it was Yahoo Answers or Yahoo Q&A. But after a couple folks started Quora, I think it was in the late 2000s, around 2009 or so, when they invited some of the top folks on the internet in terms of, I guess, quality, people who had strong reputations. In a limited fashion, they were able to draft up a bunch of content that was higher quality in nature. So from there, the website became relatively popular. And frankly, if you actually look at the population that hits the website today, it is mostly the United States, but I can't remember what year it was. It was around 2000 and maybe 12 to 2015. But there were some efforts to kind of increase the population to India. So India became the second largest population to basically visit the website. And from there, you saw a lot of content actually generated for that audience. And also you saw a lot of people from India actually creating a lot of content. So do note, if you want to take advantage of this particular platform, those are the two largest countries that do use it. So let's look at it, and what are some things that you can do with it. And frankly, the questions that were asked were, how do you use it, I guess, as an individual, or maybe how do you use it as a brand or a company that might want to see if they can leverage this. Today, Quora actually has the ability to advertise. So if you actually look down here, I am logged in just so you know, which they do kind of require. But if you click on businesses, there is the ability to frankly just use the site for advertising. And so we've done that, and I can talk about that here in a second. But again, how can you leverage this, or what to do? So if you are trying to leverage it for our company, I would say advertising is probably your best bet. And so that's why, clicking on businesses and then maybe advertising and then leveraging all the different forms of advertising is great. We could perhaps create another video later down the road on how to actually create some of these ads and what potential opportunities, but there's probably a load of videos here on YouTube that already address that. But let's continue talking about what do you do if you want to maybe approach it from an advertising standpoint or perhaps an individual standpoint. So my recommendation, frankly, after having spent quite a bit of time in it, is you get more authority / more people to respect you, I would argue, as an individual. So the folks that have, in my opinion, the ability to sway or perhaps even, leverage their, I guess, reputation or image or just their influencer capabilities are individuals. There aren't a lot of brands that I've seen on the site, but I have not been as active. So, frankly, the site has done many things in the past few years, including monetization of content to, monetization of questions, and just overall just changing quite a bit. And one of the other elements that I would highlight or want to identify as something that you might want to take advantage of is spaces. So these are basically topics that are run by certain individuals, and you need to get their permission to actually have the ability to post into their particular spaces. And so those are some of the different parts of the website or the community that you can perhaps get more exposure. And so if you are able to start building up some content, answering some questions, or whatever the case may be, leveraging these spaces are what I would say that you should probably start to look into, and then maybe even network, quote unquote, online to see if you can get them to publish things for you. One other thing that is very important to note is, this is kind of a disgusting photo here, or at least a very shocking one. And that is something that people, leverage quite a bit. And so you can see also with my profile, this is my most successful, I guess, post that I created with the most upvotes. That is 2,000, almost 3,000 upvotes. Not necessarily views, but at least the most popular answer that I was able to generate in terms of people liking it, I guess. And what you can see here is I use images to create basically more than just the text content. And so that's something to leverage as well. Sometimes you will get more ability to show up. It will sometimes show up above other answers. But there is kind of an algorithm that also focuses on, I think, length as well, in terms of, prioritizing what answers do show up higher than others. Do note that images aren't necessarily the only thing that will help you, though, because there's a post or an answer that I did recently just to kind of test it out and see, how much ability I have in terms of just getting an answer to literally float to the top. And, there's a lot of images and screenshots that I took that didn't necessarily do so well because I didn't create as much of a compelling answer to, I would argue, the question. And addressing the question is very, very important, and so doing so can kind of help you. So anyway, but to answer the question again that I was starting to talk about was, frankly, approaching it from an individual basis, I think really kind of helps. Maybe creating some of your own spaces, but do note both of these will require more of a long-term kind of strategy, and so it's important to think about it in that respect. So that's something to kind of highlight as far as, joining this. I mean, you can see I joined this back in 2010. So a little bit after they had started, I had a larger amount of content that was built towards the beginning. You can see I've actually answered more than 1,000 times. Yes, I have 5.4 million content views, but right now it's actually only about 37,000 a month, which might seem like a lot, but there are other much more successful / more visible folks who contribute into this website. So anyway, if you can take the long-term approach, you probably want to take it from an individual perspective, and if you want to do it from brand perspective, I would say use their ads. There are a lot of great topics, and as you kind of dive in and start to maybe even look at the ads and test them out, you will see that that they have a lot of different categories and a lot of different areas that you can actually target, and so you will get in front of those audiences that are specifically enjoying or perhaps interested in particular topics. So at least you get to basically target in that respect. So you can see I do SEO, academic stuff, some life and living kind of questions and things like that. So but there will be a lot more on the business side when you check it out. So that's basically it, I would say. A few tips as far as how to leverage the site. Again, maybe leveraging some of the details that you can find out like on SimilarWeb or maybe other tools that give you information about the site will be helpful. There's a lot of people who are actually active in the company that also do respond relatively more actively, I would argue, and so you may want to take advantage of that as well. You will get spammed, I will be honest, if you do grow it. I do get lots of questions or messages from people who are literally trying to spam me, but again, I'm not sure if I have the message here, but there was basically a message from one of the higher ups within Quora who asked me to basically help out in certain ways, or at least reach out and then be able to speak to them if I ever need anything. So yeah, it's not a bad website. Definitely, as you can see here, it has it's averaging about 500 million visitors a month. So for very specific topics, it can be good. The other thing that I've actually been able to do, which I'm not sure if it's still showing up, I don't think it is, but what are the best Lexus dealers in the Bay Area, is tunneling. So if you are able to actually answer, yeah, it's still there. answer a question that perhaps a lot of people have not answered, and you are the top answer on that particular question. It's kind of interesting that this guy has actually jumped above. Can't say always 100% which one's going to necessarily be the best, but for the longest time this was actually the top answer. And for this particular question, what's the best Lexus dealers, what are the best Lexus dealers, it shows up organically. So that's another way to leverage the website where you can tunnel. So that is another thing that I would highlight that can be very useful, in addition to other websites like Reddit and things like that, who show up quite a bit within Google. So hopefully that helps. Sorry if that was a little bit long-winded, but just wanted to highlight all the different aspects of Quora that you can do or leverage when it comes to marketing for specific companies or even for yourself. All right, hope you enjoyed, and thanks for visiting us at Seattle Organic SEO's YouTube channel.